I'm Jeremiah Fox. I'm a carpenter and handyman out here in New York City. How to use a spray paint gun. For large projects and some small projects where you don't want any brush strokes or roller marks, you can use a spray paint gun like this siphon feed paint gun right here. The key is to make sure that your paint has been thinned, because to get through all the hoses and shoot out in the fine mist that you want, your normal thickness of paint will clog that up real fast. So you'll need to add water or paint thinner depending on the type of paint you have to get it to a nice thin consistency so that it comes out really nice and smooth. Now, to prepare your work surface, you want to have the piece of material that you're going to be painting, but paint sprayers tend to spray everywhere pretty quickly. So you want to protect anything that you don't want painted by laying plastic and drop cloths down, and then any section of the piece you're working on that you don't want painted that color, like this section here, you want to protect that with plastic and tape everything down, because the paint it's going out in a misted form, so it'll get all over the place. Now, as it's shooting out in a misty form, it's going to get paint in lots of places, including you. So for personal protection, you can use safety glasses if you want, or goggles. Primarily what you're going to need is a particle mask, either a little dust mask, and depending on the type of paint, if you're using an oil paint or something with a lot of fumes to it, you're going to want to use a respirator, like one of the big, hefty, rated ones. But for this demonstration, we can just use a particle mask because we're just going to simulate latex paint. Now, your spray paint gun will hook up to an air line that'll run to your little compressor that you have that you use for your other tools. The paint is in here. You mix it with the water and the stuff to thin it down, get it in here, lock it in place. The trigger assembly's got two settings. First setting will just shoot out air, but if you pull it further, you'll actually shoot out the paint. Now, your spray pattern can be controlled in two axes with this little thing up here. Now, if these are horizontal, you're going to send out a horizontal sheet of paint, which is very good for painting up and down, because it'll make it nice and wide and you won't get thin lines in there. If you're going to paint from side to side, you just turn it 90 degrees to where it's going sideways and straight up and down, and then the axis is flat that way to give you nice, wide side-to-side strokes, which I will be doing for this project. So for this demonstration, I kept the sprayer in close so that you could see the direction I was moving it. When you're actually doing it, the further back you pull, the wider surface you're going to hit with the paint, and the finer the paint's going to hit on there, and the smoother the surface is going to be. You hit a maximum point where it's just flailing out in the air, so you want to be close enough in that it's hitting there. So you want a decent 1.5 to 3 feet, depending on the thickness of the paint and how it's actually flowing out. But if it's flowing out nice and smooth, as you're back on the far end, you're going to get a wider blast onto the surface, and it'll make it all nice and smooth coming in. If you're too close, it'll clump up, it'll pile up, sort of like if you're using a spray can. If you get it too close, it just piles in on there and makes drips, whereas if you pull it out, it's nice and smooth.